Hello, this is Werewolf the podcast, and this is your werewolf Wil talking. Last week we did episode 105, which was a world-changing piece of media history. You'll have to go and listen to it to find out why. I'd like to thank Gregory for helping me out with that. He did a fine acting role. Please go buy his book. It's a very good book. I don't really like werewolf novels normally because it's all erotic fiction and guilt-ridden. Yeah, El Lupo is a fantastic book. Go buy it. It's in the link below if you want to buy it. Anyway, we're going back to the future. No, we're going back to the past because we went back to the future from the past to 105. I don't know. We're going back to Viking times. That's it. I actually watched Back to the Future last night. It's actually quite cool. I forgot the good bits, like when he turns on the, what's it called, an amplifier and it blows him across the room. It's quite fun. Anyway, sorry, we're going back to the past. Yeah. When we hear of the Berserker, we hear of men that would transcend by taking in a creature's soul. Berserker may be based on the word bearmen or bearmen. It's quite difficult to explain when you can't see the written word because one of them's B-E-A-R, which is like bear, rawr, and the other one's B-A-R-E, which is all naked and woo. Yeah, so you get the idea. Berserker maybe that men fought naked or pretended to be bears. I don't know. Were they furries? Anyway, Thorstein's wolf blood was the first real berserker of his kind. I mean, he would charge into battle in werewolf form and decimate those before him. I'm going to continue with some more stories of his and Fen's as I get them off Fenrir. At least we now know why Fenrir is called Fenrir. Another notable mention of werewolf-like creatures in Viking folklore is the Ulfjörnur, meaning wolf coats or wolf skins. The Ulfjörnur, see? Wait a minute, wait. Ready? Ulfjörnur. Thanks, Google Translate. Ulfjörnur were a group of legendary Norse warriors who were said to don wolf or bear skins during battle. These warriors were known for their fearsome combat prowess and berserker gang. That's a fucking brilliant word. Berserker gang. A state of ecstatic fury that supposedly gave them superhuman strength and ferocity. The Ulfjörnur, got it right that time, the Ulfjörnur were actually thought to possess the souls of the beasts. Fantastic. I love that. Anyway, moving on. The blood flows onto my blade as I drive it into the man's chest through armour and skin and solar plexus. I watch his face as I twist and thrust it deeper with some effort through chainmail and gambeson. Once into the chest, I continue through the ribcage and into his vitals. My hand follows the hilt into the body, and I bring the sword blade through the back of his neck, cracking and separating his spine, supporting his weight on an outstretched arm for all to see as he wriggles and dies suspended from the floor. I feel alive most at these points. I fought this man, and we gambled for our lives. I won, he lost. And he's now done. He pays his debt. Blood runs down my forearm and flows onto my body. I feel it lose its warmth as it spreads sticky below my kit. I'm stuck in a moment of slow motion and silence as I watch a drop of the man's life fall from my elbow to the muddy floor. Then the world crashes back into my consciousness, and wrenching my arm from his chest, I draw the sword from its flesh scabbard, watching the body drop to the floor and feeling the delight of my enemy's death. He was brave, and he will ride with the Valkyries this evening if he chooses to. Who knows where the Christian men go, but this one could choose Valhalla. His face is beatific dead man's smile. It thanks me for a heroic death as a new wave of opponents charges over the corpse on the ground, and he is tossed like the coastal dross on the tide. Reality rushes back in, and the noise and violence wash over me as I take my sword through the helmet of my next opponent as he crashes into me, taking me from my feet for a moment before I'm lifted by a laughing brother as he hacks a leg from another warrior before being swallowed by the chaos of the melee. Many are not worthy of my attention, and I slash and cudgel those that lap at my shield as I survey the field for one of note to test myself against. These common dogs are easy meat for me. These peasants are here for the feasting of the crows, not to fight the Ulfnuna. The scratches they cause my flesh heal quick as I walk forward into the storm of steel and death. I have to remove my helmet as I strike to wipe the blood from my eyes. The taste of its iron is on my lips. I roar as I bring the shield up to block a downstroke and rip my blade through the guts of its wielder with a backhand slash that then changes angle on the forestroke to shatter a collarbone of another on its fall. I walk forward with each hack and each slash, dropping fighters with stroke after stroke. I see him. Haglan is sitting amongst his huskarls atop a ridge. I recognise the emblazoned insignia held by his man. These are the true Saxon warriors worth the time to fight and destroy. A sea of bodies is between us, but we carve towards his standard like our proud boats cutting their way through stormy waters. "Prepare! We come for you!" I shout, although I know that it will not be heard over the clangor. My boys step to my sides, allowing me to work my way to the shield wall pressed before me. They scythe and trample their separate ways through the sea of bodies. We are a well-honed machine, the 12 of us. The berserk, but not berserk at this moment. This moment is us, as a perfectly attuned unit. We are brothers trained to be part of one forward moving machine. We slash and slay all before us, churning the flesh. We murder those not worthy of battle. A scythe upon a field of meat, not wheat. We murder, yes, murder. This is no fight against these slaves, the untrained, the channel. I want to fight the real men, the soldiers that do this for a living or death. The professional soldiers hold. They hold. There must be 100 or more of them on the brow of the hill. They have the high ground and the advantage and display their tactical acuity by doing so. They are of a different standard. They look they just look more. Their demeanour and armour of a different level. Helms, spears, poleaxes, bodies sheathed in iron mail with sword and shield. Each man is holding something stranger. A teardrop shaped shield painted with their lord's colours. They have a hand and a half sword and a spear. These are the best. At their back are more we cannot see, but they hold poleaxes and are ready for the break of the wall into the melee. We pause. I look at my brothers as they slaver and cry to be unleashed upon these men. The spirits rise in us, the energy builds in intensity. Those that surround us now retreat and remove themselves from the fight. They know that they do not belong in this clash. This was for us and those men on that hill. Those Saxon skulls and that standard will adorn the hull of my boat feudum tomorrow. I will own a shield, own pole and mail shirt by the dark. Again, maybe we will learn something from these Saxons in the fight. Their steel is better than ours already. They have better weapons and armour, but they are weak in will and spirit with their pathetic god and his son slavish and sad hung upon a fucking tree for their sins. I pity them. Why fight? What for? We clear the ground before us of the last of the less worthy, pulling them through our own shield wall as they strike and then butchering them individually behind the lines. 10 strides open clear between us. The huskarls lock their funky shields and shake their spears at us as we march forward, throwing abuse at them and roaring at the world. We beat axe and swords on shield. Many of my brothers cast armour and helm to one side with their excitement to greet Odin. We look as though we have no conformity, no training. We each bear the weapons we wish to carry. All are different but the same. We are the Ulfjuna. The enemy open and clash their shields in rhythm. It is impressive to those who would be impressed. Jaeger next to me is in his 47th year and spits at them, cursing them. He's begging them to send him onward, to give him a good death. I laugh and pat him on the back. We share a joke about Saxon mothers with the other warriors in our party. Their beating and chorusing stop on one shouted command, and silence covers their line as the shield wall is formed with a roar shared by all those throats simultaneously, and it starts to step forward in lockstep. Each step comes with a roar of sound. It's very impressive. They are committed and introduce the idea that this may be a wall that takes us too far, a wall that we could never break. A bristle of spear tips before we even get anywhere near that impenetrable barrier of shields. I get hard at the thought. A proper fight. We roar our challenges to them. Each man uses their own words and utters threats, promises, or even prayers. I make a promise to the gods that not one of our enemies will leave the field, not one. I announce who I am, who they face, and that I will be the first to strike. I tell them that I cannot be killed by any weapon, that their women will weep until we arrive at their homes, and they will gratefully be fucked by true men. I smell their fear. I hear their prayers to their dead god, but they set themselves to the task before them. They stop their forward march. They drive the sharp bases of their shields into the rich earth. The spear's tips are dropped in perfect precision and angled, ready for the berserk charge. The rest of the battle going on around us leaves our focus. The less worthy warriors will continue that fight. We have our own war here. Silence, as all, including the old gods and the new, stop to watch this clash. 2 men down from me, Berger takes an arrow to the shoulder. He looks at the shaft and laughs as he drops his shield to pull it from his body. His blood flows, but he pushes the arrow into his belt before making a pledge to find its owner and return it to him. I start to run forward with Fenrir and my wolf soul at my heels. I cast my weapons left and right as I cover the distance between us. I am naked apart from the wolfskin that sits upon my skull. It denotes me as the Berserker, the Ulfnir. My brothers follow me. As a man, I am terrifying to these tiny Saxons. They are a head below me in height and half my width. I come from the land of giants and they are from the land of dwarves. As I run, I absorb my werewolf soul and become the snarling wolfman, a black bestyled shadow with eyes of burning amber. My speed is beyond human. I am partly quadruped as I charge, swapping between 2 and 4 feet as I close the distance. All turns to slow motion in my head, and Fenrir is in that comfortable spot in my heart. I feel whole as the beast. I break and pass spear tips, avoiding their bites as I get closer. A yard from the line, I turn my shoulder ready for the impact. I crash the line, smashing the men, smashing shield, smashing the wall before me. My impact pressure will be in the tons, truly an unstoppable force against a not-so immovable object. I will drive through to make a hole in the shields and the men before me. The wall, when broken, will be ours. In the melee, our wolf pack will pick apart the soldiers used to their particular method of fighting. There will be no strategy or techniques in the melee, just warrior against warrior, weapon and strength against weapon and strength. I hit the warrior shields and come somewhat surprisingly to a winded, dead stop. My forward momentum is lost as my energy is distributed along the line. The charge is over. The absorbed power ripples through the men, through the line of shields. They now call together and step forward as one unit. A step onward is taken on each command. Swords reach over the wall and slash at me. Spears are directed at me. This was not the plan. Fen in my heart reminds me there is no plan, and we start laughing together. I now have nowhere to go except to be crushed or pushed down by my own men as they charge. In response, I go up and over. I run up the wall before me, clawed paws on the pommels presented. I momentarily stand on the shield wall lip. ready to leap into the press of men below. I need to rip and render these warriors to allow a gap for my men to enter the fray. Weapons strike as I dive into the human mass, a shark in amongst the minnows. I'm not in a position to fight me. With each movement I tear and rip. Chainmail and leather split like fine cloth. They are no barriers to my power and my claws. I kill easily, and the wounds I gain are not significant enough to cause me concern. These humans haven't got the space to generate the power to kill this monster. They're not frightened though. Lesser men would have broken them and run at the attack of the werewolf, but not these professional warriors. They know they can survive this day if they work together and keep their formations and mutual support. In amongst them now I lash out with tooth and claw in every direction about me. I tear the helmet from one man as he screams at the loss, scalped by the ripping steel, but before he falls, he plunges a scrammer axe deep in my belly. I pull it free and throw it at the next man, not looking to see if it does damage as I continue my slaughter. I kick and gouge with the claws of my limbs and the teeth in my head. I clear a space of life, and the shield wall collapses behind me, and my brothers, my pack, are now behind me. It is melee fighting from now on, open field and without the precise systems these clever Saxons use. This is where the Berserk excels. In biting their shields and their enemies' throats, they fight. We wish for death, but only at the greatest cost to those that side against us. The Huskarls panic and try to withdraw and regroup around their lord, but it's too late as we come in amongst them, a ball of hatred in each Viking man. We don't strike to kill, we strike to injure and ruin. We aim to cause damage until none can continue. The cost is high, and the turn of the tide is quick and final. Panic ensues as men on both sides are cut down and trampled. The Saxons die in horror and fear. We die in honour and excitement for the next journey. I finally stand before him. I'm breathing heavy. My wounds heal as he watches, and my heart rate falls. My brothers dispatch those that lie on the floor. Those who need to die are dealt the final blow and sent, well, wherever they believe they should go. The eye I'd lost in the fight recites, and I feel a tear in my thigh zip and repair as my strength returns. I shake my body as a giant black wolfman before him. Blood, snot, shit, piss, and flesh are flung from my fur. I roar to the gods. The sound again makes me rage. Lord Haglin and his standard bearer stand proud before me. They're now waiting to receive us. I wave my hands to my men, stopping my dogs from overwhelming the man and the boy at the top of the rise. They stand their ground or just sit, catching their breath, ready to watch the show. The Lord casts his spear away and draws his sword from his belt. He lifts his shield and runs the blade down to the pommel at its centre, beating it with a heartbeat rhythm. He may be frightened, but it's not controlling him. He's ready and looking forward to this fight. I don't understand the Christian in him wanting to die. What has he to die for? His heaven doesn't look anything like mine. I must look like something from his book. A demon of hell. My eyes are fire and I am matted in the blood and offal of his men. It sticks to me and colours my black pelt with the off-red of real blood. A smile, lifting my howling head to the sky. This is what I live for, a real fight with a real opponent willing to give his all. He's ready to leave everything here and he's willing to die a painful death. I love and live for only this. It's never a fair fight, but it is a fight much finer. We posture across from one another. Nothing is said, but in those moments I can gauge that he's a large and robust man in his 40s. He's strong and skilled and experienced in this line of work. I've no idea what he gets from my display, but he shows no reflection of fear or outrage. His heart rate is still low and calm, as though This is just a typical day doing the work he loves. Which, perhaps it is. I walk forward until a couple of meters are between us, and I prepare to leap. Haglund steps back, sword raised and ready for the attack. I launch myself and land all 4 feet upon his shield, throwing him off balance and onto his back. He maintains the shield between himself and me on the floor, which somehow holds. My claws score deep and shred the wood of the shield, but don't destroy it. He lets it slip from his grasp as he rolls to his hands and knees, slashing at my legs as he rises. I leap away just in time, allowing the blade to pass beneath my feet like some old 40s movie weapon choreography. A proper Star Trek moment as he misses and then strikes backhand, and it enters my hip. The blade sticks. This man is good, and the pain burns into my right leg. He lets go of the trapped weapon that he can't remove and reaches for one of the many held by his dead and dying men on the ground. The blade is stuck in me, and I struggle and wrench at it to remove it as he points with his newly drawn sword and laughs at my predicament. My men are also laughing as they see me stumble. Haglund says something I don't understand. Then he retakes a defensive position, hefting a new shield from the floor in his left hand as he prepares his sword arm. This man is skilled and fit, but he's not the monster I am. I limp forward as I drag the damaged hip with me. Once the weapon has been removed with, I've got to admit, some effort, it starts to heal, and I know that within the next few moments it will return to its unhurt state. I now size my prey up a little bit better. He's not the rabbit, the runner, the escaper. He is the cornered badger, the fighter. He will die in the act of protecting himself. Change your plans. I pick up a spear from the ground and throw it at him. It slams into the shield and vibrates to a stop. The power of the throw splits the wood slightly and makes him readjust. His weight is thrown to his back foot. I lift another and again cast it at the shield. Again it bites deep and shudders to a halt, driving the man another step or two back. I let another fly, then another, then another. The shield is now off-balanced and weighty on the man's arm. It's become useless as a tool, and he casts it aside as he looks for another to replace it. But before he gets a chance, I launch another spear at him, then another. He has no choice but to focus on the weapons thrown against him. He has no time to replace the lost item. He can only use his body movement and ability to dodge to remain safe. As I throw random things, I walk forward, knowing he cannot stop defending himself enough to escape me. I know I'll reach him, and then he will be mine. He jinks and spins as he dodges the flying debris, not just spears now, but anything I can grab that could cause damage. Then I am on him. As he raises his sword, I grab his wrist with my left hand and his face with my right. I hear the muffled scream as I compress the head in my grip, in my hand. I feel his jawbones start to flex under the pressure of my grip. I keep squeezing and they crack in my grasp. His scream through a ruined mouth is unhuman and agony-filled. My hair rises on my body from the thrill as I continue to squeeze until his head explodes like an egg. Brains and spinal fluid cover my hand, arm and chest. I punch my other hand through his ribs and grasp his heart, ripping it from the fresh corpse and ramming it into my mouth. I take on the man's strength from eating the seat of his being. Silence as the tide of the battle turns. The standard falls from the shaking young boy's hands as he stands and watches me gulp down the raw meat. He yells, and even in a language I don't really understand, I can tell he begs for his life. So fucking pathetic. He should be willing to die for his lord's standard, not drop it in the dirt. I tear him in half with a backhand strike, disgusted. With their leader gone, the battle ends and the rout starts. We as a group stand our ground as the cowards run. They're chased down by our more bloodthirsty brethren. For us the fight is over. We only fight, not murder. Well, not unless we need to. I want to fight warriors. I don't want to kill victims. I sit down on a shield as I turn back to my human. Now the laughter starts between us. Fenrir smiles at me. The gods have been good. 2 of us will go to Valhalla tonight, and we will drink for their journey this evening. Thanks for listening. Please remember you can buy my book, you can buy Gregory's book, you can go to the description, you can join us on the Facebook group. It's getting very, very busy there. It's quite cool. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. What else can I think I'm on? I don't know. I think I'm not on anything good at the moment. That's a bit of a problem. But, life will get better. Anyway, you can even buy me a coffee if you want. Yeah, there's this thing on the description that says buy me a coffee or support the show or something. Go there and buy me a coffee if you love what I do. If you don't, then don't, and that's cool too. Share, just do nice things. Yeah, I know I'm horrible, but do nice things for me. Because do you know what? After all, I do fucking love you. Bye.